The silver ships of the Galactic assessment fleet descended through Earth's cloud layer with practiced precision, their sensors collecting data that made Chief Assessor Tylera's secondary hearts sink with disappointment. The readings confirmed what their long-range scans had suggested: another unremarkable species on another unremarkable world. Initiate atmospheric composition analysis, she commanded, her crystalline appendages tapping against the control panel. The preliminary results scrolled across her neural interface, painting a picture of what she considered a primitive environment. The junior environmental specialist, Crix, studied the data with growing fascination. Their bioluminescent patterns shifted to indicate intense interest, a gesture lost on the senior officers busily preparing their initial assessment reports. Chief Assessor, Crix ventured, their voice modulating in the respectful lower frequencies. These atmospheric readings show some unusual patterns that. File your observations in the standard report template, Tylera interrupted, not bothering to turn away from the main viewing portal. We have 17 more systems to evaluate this cycle. Below them, the humans had already detected their presence. Primitive electromagnetic communications buzzed through their receivers, full of excitement and fear in equal measure. Tylera had seen it all before. A species discovering they weren't alone in the universe, their reactions predictably chaotic. The assessment chambers were prepared within hours. Standard protocol required testing at least 100 specimens from the dominant species, and the humans proved surprisingly cooperative. They arrived willingly at the designated landing zones, eager to prove themselves to the cosmic community. Crix watched the first group enter the testing facility, their environmental suits' sensors collecting additional atmospheric data. Something about the way the humans moved in their native environment versus the standardized chamber conditions caught their attention. But raising concerns about testing protocols to Tylera again would only result in another reprimand. Physical capability assessment initiating, announced the central computer. The first human subject, a female athlete by their records, stepped onto the testing platform. Tylera observed with clinical detachment as the woman struggled to lift weights that juvenile Centaurians handled with ease. Record. Subject demonstrates Class 3 strength limitations, Tylera dictated. Notably poor performance even accounting for gravity differential. The next series of tests proved equally unimpressive. Reaction times, cognitive processing, sensory acuity, all fell well below galactic standards. Tylera began composing her preliminary report, already deciding which advanced species would best serve as mentors to this struggling civilization. Crix, meanwhile, focused on their atmospheric readings. The combination of gases seemed to be in constant flux, creating complex interactions their standard models struggled to analyze. Most intriguing was the high oxygen content and the presence of several trace elements in unusual proportions. Request permission to conduct additional atmospheric analysis, Crix asked the facility's computer, careful to keep their voice low. Processing request, the computer responded. Warning: current testing protocols do not require extended atmospheric analysis. Proceed with standard evaluation procedures. Crix's bioluminescence dimmed with frustration. They knew something wasn't adding up, but the rigid assessment protocols left little room for deviation. As they watched another human underperform in the strength tests, they began quietly documenting their observations in a personal research log. The first day of testing concluded with Tylera's preliminary report already taking shape. Species demonstrates limited physical capabilities, unremarkable cognitive potential, and no notable evolutionary advantages. Recommend classification as a developing world requiring guidance and supervision. As the assessment chamber powered down for the night cycle, Crix remained at their station, analyzing atmospheric data. The numbers told a different story than the official reports. They just needed to figure out exactly what that story was. The second day of testing began with a new batch of human subjects entering the assessment chambers. Crix noticed how their movements seemed more labored the moment they stepped through the atmospheric barriers, but the other specialists remained focused on their data tablets, recording failure after failure. Cognitive Assessment Series 3.7 announced the facility computer. A young human male, introduced as a mathematics professor, sat before the holographic interface. Tyranny watched with mild interest as he attempted to solve equations that most spacefaring species mastered in early development. Processing speed approximately 68% below galactic standard, Tyranny noted, her crystalline appendages shifting in what passed for a disappointed sigh. Even accounting for their limited technological advancement, these results are concerning. But Crick's attention was drawn to the environmental readings. Every time the atmospheric barrier cycled, their instruments detected subtle changes in the human's biochemical responses. The effects were minor, easily dismissed as statistical noise, but they formed a pattern that grew more intriguing with each new subject. During the midday break, Crick's accessed the historical database, studying records of other species tested in standardized conditions. None showed the same degree of performance variance between their native environment and the assessment chambers. The computer flagged their extended database search as irregular behavior, but Crick's classified it as routine background research. The next phase of physical endurance trials will commence, the facility computer announced, drawing Crick's back to their observation post. A human female, designated as a long-distance runner, stepped onto the testing track. "Begin standard endurance protocol," Tyranny commanded. The runner started at a steady pace, but within minutes, her breathing became labored. She stopped well short of the minimum distance expected for a developed species. Another disappointment, one of the senior specialists muttered. "At this rate, we'll have to classify them as pre-spacefaring indefinitely." Crick's watched the runner leave the chamber, noting how her breathing normalized almost immediately after passing through the atmospheric barrier. They made a subtle adjustment to their sensor array, focusing on the microscopic changes in cellular respiration. "Chief Assessor," Crick said, choosing their words carefully, "I've noticed some interesting correlations in the environmental data. Perhaps we cooled." "Crick's," Tyranny interrupted, her tone carrying the harmonics of authority. "Your enthusiasm is noted, but our protocols exist for a reason. Document your findings in the appropriate subsection of the final report." The afternoon brought more tests, more disappointments. Humans demonstrated reflexes too slow to qualify for interstellar pilot certification, strength levels that would make manual labor on most developed worlds impossible, and cognitive processing speeds that would leave them hopelessly behind in galactic society. As the day drew to a close, Crick's received a notification. Their request for additional atmospheric sampling had been automatically denied due to resource allocation protocols, but they had already collected enough unauthorized data to fuel their growing suspicions. Late into the night cycle, while the other specialists recharged, Crick's remained at their station. They compiled their observations, cross-referenced atmospheric readings, and began to see something remarkable hidden in the data. The human's performance didn't just decrease in the standardized environment. It followed a precise pattern of degradation that correlated exactly with the changes in their atmospheric conditions. Crick's bioluminescence brightened with excitement as they documented their theory. The assessment chambers, designed to provide optimal conditions for all known spacefaring species, might be inadvertently suppressing something unique about human physiology. But proving it would require breaking several protocols, risking their position, and challenging centuries of established evaluation procedures. As they powered down their console for the night, Crick's made a decision. Tomorrow, they would begin their own series of tests. Unauthorized, but necessary. After all, scientific progress often required breaking a few rules. The atmospheric sampling chamber wasn't designed for prolonged occupancy, but senior specialist Venera had insisted on overseeing the collection process personally. 3 hours into the procedure, her movements became unusually energetic, and her neural patterns showed unprecedented activity. "These readings must be incorrect," she announced, her typically measured voice carrying an unusual edge of excitement. "Run a diagnostic on the monitoring equipment." Crick's, who had been quietly observing from their auxiliary station, noticed the changes before anyone else. The longer Venera remained in the chamber filling with Earth's atmospheric samples, the more her behavior deviated from baseline standards. Diagnostic complete, the computer reported. All systems functioning within normal parameters. Venera paced the chamber, her crystalline appendages vibrating with excess energy. Everything feels sharper, more intense. The calculations I'm running, they're processing faster than normal. Tyranny arrived at the testing facility, drawn by automated alerts of anomalous staff behavior. She found Venera surrounded by floating holographic displays, solving complex gravitational equations at nearly twice her usual speed. "This is fascinating," Venera exclaimed, her voice modulating through excitement frequencies that would normally be considered unprofessional. "Chief Assessor, you must experience this yourself. The mental clarity is remarkable." Crix's sensors recorded everything, correlating atmospheric composition with changes in Venera's performance. The data matched their earlier observations of human subjects. But in reverse, while humans showed decreased capabilities in standard testing conditions, Venera displayed enhanced performance in Earth's atmosphere. "Terminate atmospheric sampling," Tyranny commanded. "Venera, report to medical for evaluation." But before the sampling could be stopped, two other specialists entered the chamber to assist Venera. Within minutes, they too showed signs of enhancement. Their strength increased measurably. Their cognitive processing accelerated. Even their cellular regeneration rates improved. "Chief Assessor," Crix ventured, seizing the moment. "These effects mirror the performance degradation we observed in human subjects, but inversed. I believe Earth's atmosphere may be." "A containment protocol is not a proper time for theories, Crix," Tyranny interrupted, but her tone carried less certainty than usual. She watched as her affected staff members demonstrated capabilities that exceeded their species' normal parameters. The medical team arrived, but their presence only added to Crix's growing collection of evidence. The doctor's instruments revealed increased oxygen efficiency, enhanced neural activity, and accelerated metabolic processes in all exposed staff members. "The effects appear temporary," the chief medical officer reported, studying the results as the specialists gradually returned to normal after leaving the chamber. "But these readings suggest significant biological enhancement while under exposure." Crix compiled the new data, adding it to their secret research file. The pattern was undeniable. Earth's atmosphere acted as a performance enhancer for their species, while their standardized testing environment had the opposite effect on humans. "Perhaps," Crix suggested carefully, "we should consider how our testing protocols might be affecting human performance. If their natural environment can enhance our capabilities this dramatically, then our standardized conditions might be." "File your observations through proper channels," Tyranny ordered, but she remained focused on the medical readings. "This incident will be thoroughly investigated before we draw any conclusions." As the facility returned to normal operations, Crix noticed Tyranny lingering near the atmospheric sampling data. Her crystalline appendages shifted in patterns that indicated deep thought, possibly even doubt. Later that night, alone in their research pod, Crix received an unexpected notification. Their previous request for additional atmospheric analysis had been retroactively approved. The authorization code belonged to Tyranny herself. Perhaps, Crix thought as their bioluminescence brightened with hope, the truth about Earth's extraordinary atmosphere would finally be revealed, not through broken protocols, but through changed minds. Crix converted their private research pod into an improvised testing chamber, carefully replicating Earth's atmospheric conditions. The newly granted authorization from Tyranny had opened doors that were previously locked, both literally and metaphorically. "Environmental parameters stabilized," the computer announced. "Earth atmospheric composition achieved within 0.1% variance." The human volunteer, a physics researcher named Sarah Chen, stepped into the chamber. Crix had selected her specifically because her previous performance in the standard assessment tests had been thoroughly documented. "The air feels different here," Sarah noted, taking deep breaths. "More like home." Crix's sensors recorded everything as Sarah began the same strength assessment she had failed 3 days earlier. The results were immediate and stunning. Her performance improved by 240% compared to her previous attempts. "This is incredible," Sarah exclaimed, easily lifting weights that had been impossible for her in the standard testing chamber. "I feel like myself again." Tyranny arrived halfway through the trials, her crystalline appendages shifting in patterns that indicated intense scientific curiosity. She watched in silence as Sarah completed complex spatial reasoning puzzles in record time. "Your theory appears to have merit, Crix," Tyranny admitted, studying the live data feeds. "But this raises disturbing questions about our entire assessment protocol." More human volunteers arrived, each demonstrating similar improvements. Athletes performed at peak levels. Scientists solved complex equations with remarkable speed. Artists demonstrated creativity that finally registered on the galactic scales. "We've been measuring them in an environment that essentially handicapped their natural abilities," Crix explained, their bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. "Their evolutionary adaptation to Earth's atmosphere isn't a weakness. It's their greatest strength." The medical team documented cellular changes that defied their previous understanding. Human biology didn't just tolerate their oxygen-rich atmosphere. It depended on it in ways that produced capabilities the standard tests had completely missed. "Look at these neural pathway readings," the chief medical officer pointed out. "Their synaptic responses in Earth-normal conditions are far more efficient than our initial data suggested." As the day progressed, the evidence became overwhelming. Humans demonstrated endurance that rivaled Centaurian athletes. Their problem-solving abilities matched Proximan standards. Their adaptability exceeded several spacefaring species. "We need to revise all previous assessment data," Tyranny announced, her tone carrying harmonics of both concern and wonder. "Every evaluation we've conducted has been fundamentally flawed." Crix prepared a comprehensive report documenting how the standardized testing environment had created a false picture of human capabilities. The very protocols designed to ensure fair assessment had inadvertently masked humanity's true potential. "There's more," Sarah added, reviewing the data with them. "Some of these capabilities might actually exceed your current understanding. We've adapted to our atmosphere in ways that your science hasn't encountered before." The implications stretched far beyond Earth's assessment. How many other species had been incorrectly evaluated? How many potential civilizations had been dismissed because they didn't fit the standardized testing model? Tyranny activated the facility's primary communication array, preparing to contact the Galactic Assessment Council. This discovery would change everything. Their protocols, their understanding of adaptation, their entire approach to evaluating new species. "Crix," she said, her crystalline appendages now showing patterns of respect, "prepare your complete findings for immediate transmission. The Council needs to understand not just what we discovered, but how we almost missed it entirely." As Crix compiled their research, they watched Sarah demonstrate yet another supposedly impossible feat in the Earth-normal chamber. Perhaps, they reflected, the true measure of intelligence wasn't just ability, but the wisdom to recognize it in unfamiliar forms. The Galactic Assessment Council's emergency session chamber hummed with tense energy as Crix presented their findings. Three-dimensional holographic displays showed the stark contrast between human performance in standard conditions versus their natural atmosphere. "Observe the cellular adaptation at the molecular level," Crix explained, their bioluminescence steady with professional confidence. The display zoomed in, showing how human biology processed Earth's unique atmospheric combination. Their entire evolutionary path has optimized this interaction. Senior Council member Zexthor's critical gaze swept across the data streams. "You suggest that our standardized testing environments, used successfully for over 3,000 cycles, are fundamentally flawed." Tyranny stepped forward, her crystalline appendages arranged in formal presentation patterns. "The evidence is irrefutable. In their natural atmosphere, humans demonstrate capabilities that match or exceed multiple spacefaring species. The chamber erupted in harmonic disagreement frequencies. The idea that a supposedly primitive species could possess advanced capabilities challenged centuries of established evaluation procedures. "We have live demonstration data," Crix continued, cueing the next series of recordings. The hologram showed humans performing in Earth-normal conditions, their achievements now properly documented in their natural environment. Sarah Chen appeared in the display, solving complex quantum calculations at speeds that silenced the chamber. Athletes demonstrated endurance that matched Centaurian records. Artists created works that registered on previously unused portions of the aesthetic measurement scale. Their atmospheric composition isn't primitive, Crix explained, highlighting the complex chemical interactions. It's precisely calibrated through millions of years of coevolution. What we dismissed as an unrefined environment is actually a sophisticated biological enhancement system. The medical data scrolled across the primary screens: enhanced oxygen processing, accelerated cellular regeneration, improved neural pathway efficiency. Each measurement challenged the Council's previous assumptions about human capability. Most remarkable, Tilara added, is their adaptation to utilize these atmospheric conditions. Their biological systems don't just tolerate this environment, they depend on it for optimal function. Our standard testing conditions effectively placed them in an alien atmosphere that suppressed their natural capabilities. Council member Vrinta, known for their expertise in evolutionary biology, leaned forward. The implications extend beyond Earth. How many other species have we incorrectly evaluated because we failed to consider their environmental adaptations? The chamber's atmosphere grew heavy with the weight of this realization. Centuries of assessments might need to be reviewed. Countless civilizations might have been wrongly classified. "We propose an immediate revision of testing protocols," Crix stated, their voice carrying new authority. "Each species must be evaluated within parameters that match their natural environment. Standard conditions can no longer be our sole metric." The Council's primary data matrix updated in real time, recalculating human potential based on the new evidence. The classification indicators shifted dramatically, moving Earth from a developing world status to something unprecedented. The humans have not only adapted to their atmosphere, Tilara concluded, they have mastered it in ways we're only beginning to understand. Their supposed limitations were our failure to recognize their true potential. The Council chamber fell silent as the final calculations completed. Earth's new classification appeared on the main display, its status elevated far beyond their initial assessment. "Let this serve as a reminder," Crix said, their bioluminescence pulsing with passionate intensity, "that true intelligence often exists in forms we don't initially recognize. Our mandate to assess other species requires us to look beyond our own predetermined standards." As the emergency session concluded, the Council faced a transformed understanding of human potential. What began as a routine evaluation had become a moment that would reshape galactic civilization's approach to emerging species. The humans weren't helpless. They were perfectly adapted to an environment that granted them extraordinary capabilities. Capabilities that had been hidden only by the limitations of those who came to judge them. The redesigned testing facility hummed with anticipation as environmental systems adjusted to match Earth's atmosphere perfectly. After the Council's emergency session, a new series of trials had been commissioned, this time under conditions that would reveal humanity's true capabilities. "Environmental calibration complete," the computer announced. "All parameters match Earth's standard atmosphere within 0.01% variance." Michael Torres, an Olympic distance runner, stepped into the chamber first. Crix monitored the readings while Tilara observed alongside 3 Council representatives, their crystalline appendages arranged in patterns indicating intense scientific focus. "Begin endurance trial," Tilara commanded, her voice carrying subtle harmonics of excitement that would have been unthinkable just days ago. Michael started running. The first hour passed, then the second. His vital signs remained strong, breathing steady, cellular oxygen utilization operating at peak efficiency. The council representative's bioluminescence patterns shifted from skepticism to astonishment. "He's approaching the Centaurian endurance record," one council member noted, checking the historical data. "How is this possible?" Crix's displays showed the answer: complex interactions between human biology and their atmospheric compounds created a natural enhancement system that their standardized tests had completely missed. "Third hour commencing," the computer announced. Michael continued running, his performance exceeding even revised expectations. In the adjacent chamber, Dr. Emily Wong demonstrated rapid wound healing under Earth-normal conditions. The medical team watched in amazement as her minor cut sealed itself in half the time their models had predicted. "Their cellular regeneration rate exceeds several spacefaring species," the chief medical officer reported, analyzing the data. "The combination of oxygen levels and trace elements in their atmosphere optimizes their natural healing processes." The day continued with revelation after revelation. Human problem-solving abilities flourished in their natural environment. Physical strength tests showed results that bordered on exceptional by galactic standards. Even their creative thinking assessments broke previous scale limitations. "Look at these neural pathway readings," Crix pointed out, highlighting a holographic brain scan. "Their thought processes don't just function in their atmosphere, they evolve to leverage its specific properties." Hilara studied the results, her previous skepticism completely transformed by the evidence before her. "We never considered that a supposedly primitive atmosphere could create such advantages. Our own prejudices blinded us to their potential." The council representatives conferred in hushed tones as more humans demonstrated their natural capabilities. A young physicist solved quantum equations with remarkable speed. A martial artist displayed reaction times that rivaled Proximan warriors. A chess grandmaster's strategic thinking patterns registered on previously unused portions of the cognitive scale. "Their atmosphere isn't just beneficial," Crix explained, compiling the day's data. "It's an integral part of their evolutionary advantage. They've developed in perfect synchronization with their environment." As the final tests concluded, Michael Torres completed his endurance trial, setting a new record that surpassed several established spacefaring species. The chamber erupted in harmonic tones of appreciation, a rare display of emotion from the usually reserved council representatives. "We must completely revise our understanding of atmospheric adaptation," Hilara announced, her crystalline appendages shifting to indicate formal declaration patterns. "The humans haven't just survived in their environment. They've mastered it in ways we never imagined possible." Crix's bioluminescence pulsed with satisfaction as they archived the day's findings. Each test had confirmed their theories. Each demonstration had proven that humanity's supposed weaknesses were nothing more than a failure of perspective. "Perhaps," one council member suggested, their voice carrying harmonics of wisdom, "we should consider what other extraordinary adaptations we've overlooked in our rush to judge by our own standards." The testing facility powered down for the night, but the implications of the day's discoveries would continue to ripple through galactic society. Humanity had proven themselves not just capable, but remarkable, once they were finally seen through the proper lens. The research facility's primary laboratory buzzed with activity as teams of human and alien scientists worked together to understand the full scope of humanity's atmospheric adaptation. Holographic displays showed cellular structures at the quantum level, revealing interactions that defied conventional galactic biology. "The complexity is remarkable," Dr. Sarah Chen explained, manipulating the three-dimensional model of human lung tissue. "Our respiratory system doesn't just process oxygen, it catalyzes a cascade of biological enhancements." Crix's sensors recorded everything as their joint research team documented each discovery. The human nervous system demonstrated previously unknown properties when operating in its natural environment. Neural pathways lit up with efficiency that challenged existing models of consciousness. Their entire cellular structure is optimized for this specific atmospheric composition, the chief medical officer noted, their crystalline appendages shifting in patterns of deep appreciation. Even their DNA repair mechanisms function more effectively in these conditions. Tyranny supervised the analysis of human physical performance data, comparing it against the Galactic database. Their endurance capabilities exceed 17 known spacefaring species when measured in their native atmosphere. We never considered this level of environmental adaptation possible. The laboratory's quantum imaging system revealed how human blood cells utilized oxygen in ways that no other known species could match. Each breath triggered molecular reactions that enhanced strength, speed, and cognitive function simultaneously. It's not just about the high oxygen content, Crix explained to the assembled research team. Their bodies have evolved to use every trace element in their atmosphere. What we dismissed as primitive is actually an intricate biological enhancement system. Dr. Wang, a human biochemist, highlighted a particularly fascinating interaction on the main display. Our cellular metabolism has developed unique pathways that leverage atmospheric nitrogen compounds. These processes don't even exist in your biological models. The research expanded beyond physical capabilities. Human creativity and problem-solving abilities showed unexpected correlations with their atmospheric conditions. Their brains functioned differently, more efficiently, in ways that standard testing protocols had completely missed. Their neuroplasticity is extraordinary, one of the Proximan researchers observed. They adapt to new challenges faster than any species we've studied, but only when their atmospheric requirements are met. Tyranny compiled the growing library of evidence, her previous skepticism completely transformed by the weight of scientific discovery. We've documented 23 unique biological processes that exist only in human physiology. Each one depends on their atmospheric composition in ways we're still trying to understand. The laboratory's artificial intelligence system struggled to categorize the findings, forced to create new classification parameters to accommodate human capabilities. Traditional models of species development had to be revised as humanity broke through one theoretical limitation after another. Look at this cellular regeneration rate, Crix pointed out, highlighting a time-lapse recording. Their healing accelerates in proportion to atmospheric optimization. We've never seen this level of environmental synchronization before. The implications stretched far beyond human biology. Their research revealed an entirely new paradigm of evolution, one where a species developed in perfect harmony with its environment, turning supposed limitations into remarkable advantages. We kept trying to fit humans into our understanding of biology, Tyranny admitted, her voice carrying harmonics of wonder. We should have been learning from them instead. As the day's research session concluded, the team had documented over 50 unique adaptations that set humans apart from known galactic species. Each discovery reinforced a humbling truth. They had almost dismissed one of the most remarkably adapted species ever encountered. Perhaps, Crix suggested, their bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. This is just the beginning. How many other extraordinary adaptations might exist among species we've overlooked? The laboratory computers continued analyzing data through the night, calculating and recalculating the true scope of human potential. What had begun as a routine species assessment had become a revolution in their understanding of life itself. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had never been modified in its 1,000-year history until today. Environmental systems hummed as they maintained Earth-normal atmospheric conditions throughout the space, a physical reminder of how much had changed in their understanding of species evaluation. The final classification review will now commence, announced the council leader, their crystalline form refracting light in formal ceremony patterns. The chamber's holographic displays activated, showing the culmination of weeks of revolutionary research. Crix stood beside Tyranny at the presentation podium, their bioluminescence steady with professional confidence. The human delegation, led by Dr. Chen and Dr. Wang, waited nearby as honored guests rather than subjects of evaluation. Our comprehensive review has revealed 47 major oversights in our standard testing protocols. Tyranny began, her voice carrying harmonics of both authority and humility. The human species demonstrates that environmental adaptation can produce capabilities we never thought possible. The main display showed a dramatic comparison. human performance in standard conditions versus their natural atmosphere. The difference wasn't just significant, it represented a complete paradigm shift in their understanding of species development. We propose a complete revision of our evaluation systems, Crix continued, highlighting key data points. Every species must be assessed within their native environmental parameters. Standard conditions can no longer be our sole metric for potential. The chamber's atmospheric processors adjusted slightly, optimizing the mix of gases. Several council members noticed their own cognitive function sharpening, a subtle reminder of how profoundly environment could affect capability. The humans have not merely survived in their atmosphere, Tilera explained. They have evolved to harness its properties in ways that redefine our understanding of biological adaptation. Their supposed limitations were our failure to recognize true potential. Dr. Chen stepped forward, presenting the latest research data. Our studies suggest that every species likely has unique environmental adaptations we've yet to discover. Earth's atmosphere is just one example of how evolution can optimize life in unexpected ways. The Council's primary classification matrix updated one final time. Earth's status shifted dramatically, reaching a level that would have been unthinkable weeks ago. The human delegation stood straighter, proud but not boastful, as their true capabilities were finally acknowledged. Beyond reclassification, Crix added, we recommend establishing a new division of environmental adaptation research. The humans have agreed to share their expertise as equal partners in this endeavor. Tilera's crystalline appendages shifted to indicate formal appreciation. Their insights have already helped us identify potential atmospheric adaptations in 3 other species we previously classified as primitive. This is just the beginning. The council leader rose, their form catching light in patterns that signaled historic significance. Let this mark a new era in galactic civilization, one where we judge not by our standards, but by the remarkable diversity of life itself. Dr. Wong activated a final holographic display, showing the intricate dance of human cellular structure with Earth's atmosphere. Every molecule tells a story of adaptation. Every breath demonstrates the power of evolution. We look forward to discovering what other stories await among the stars. The chamber resonated with harmonics of agreement as the new protocols were formally adopted. Species evaluation would never be the same, and that was precisely the point. We came to Earth expecting to find a helpless species, Tilera concluded, her voice carrying warmth that would have been unthinkable during their first arrival. Instead, we found teachers who showed us the true meaning of adaptation. As the ceremony concluded, Crix's bioluminescence pulsed with satisfaction. Their initial doubt about the standard protocols had led to this moment, a fundamental shift in how galactic civilization would view emerging species. The humans weren't helpless. They were perfectly adapted to an environment that granted them extraordinary capabilities, and in teaching the galaxy this lesson, they had changed the course of interstellar science forever.